Hello everyone, and welcome to Random Access, PC Mag's daily show on Facebook, where we show you one cool thing that we are testing out in the labs right now. We take your questions, thanks to Social Pete over here, who is going to be looking in the comments, and we banter about technology. I'm Sasha Segan. Today we have Jim Fisher here. He's our expert on digital cameras, camcorders, and drones. So if you have a question about imagery and image-taking equipment, Jim is your man. I, of course, can talk about phones, tablets, a lot of other things on and off. You can try me. You'll see what you get. Today's cool thing, though, is the Leica TL2 camera. And look at this thing. It is a giant hunk of metal. It is a not inexpensive hunk of metal. Jim, what are we looking at here?
We are looking at a digital camera that has been milled out of a single block of aluminum, just like a MacBook Pro.
It's a unibody camera.
It's a unibody camera, and it's a Leica camera, which means it's made in Germany, which means it's expensive. The body is $1,950. This 35mm 1.4 lens is $2,400. This 18 to 56mm zoom is about $1,650, and I think the lowest price lens in the system is about $1,450 for a longer telezoom, and $1,500 for the 23mm f2, which is a smaller prime lens that goes with this, but I unfortunately don't have with me today.
So this is a mirrorless interchangeable lens camera.
Mirrorless interchangeable lens, so you can take the lenses off. You can see here it does have autofocus. It's an APS-C sensor. It uses the same lens mount as Leica's full-frame mirrorless autofocus camera, the SL. So it's the L mount is what they call it.
So what range of lenses can you get for this camera? How many lens options do you have?
This native APS-C lenses, there's 6 right now. There's an 11 to 23mm ultra-wide zoom. There is this 18 to 56mm, I keep saying that because it's one louder than 18 to 55mm standard angle zoom. There's a 55 to 135 telezoom. And then there are 23mm, 35mm, and a 60mm macro prime lens.
Okay, so let's go to the body now. We said it's mirrorless. Did you mention how big the sensor is?
It's APS-C, so it is 16 by 24mm roughly. It is a 24 megapixel sensor. It's a very good sensor. It goes up to ISO 50,000, which we were talking about before the show. Very good high ISO image quality. Starts at 100, so you also have low ISO shooting, good dynamic range, shoots RAW, JPEG. The RAW format's DNG, so you don't have to wait for an Adobe update to use it. You can just use it right out of the box. It shoots 7 frames a second with the mechanical shutter, which ranges from 30 seconds to 1/4,000 seconds. And then the electronic shutter kicks in at a speed shorter than that through 1/40,000th of a second. And then if you shoot continuous drive in that, it switches to 20 frames a second.
So there's a mechanical shutter and an electronic shutter. Can you control those? Can you toggle them on and off?
No, the only way to control them right now is to set the shutter speed. And that's something I'd like to see addressed via firmware, because other cameras that have both options let you pick. And I'd also like to be able to use the electronic shutter because it's completely silent when you do so, and shoot at something less than 20 frames a second, because sometimes you want to shoot at 5 frames a second, but not 20.
Now, one thing that's freaking me out about this camera right now that I was mentioning earlier is, and you folks may notice, completely unmarked controls.
Yeah, it's a touchscreen interface for the most part. It's got a big 3.7-inch touchscreen on the back, bigger than you'll get on most cameers.
And how's the touchscreen visibility outdoors, though?
It's great.
Okay.
Very solid viewing angles, very bright. And you have a viewfinder as well for very, very bright days. And you've got soft keys here for the wheels. So I'm an aperture priority right now, so this wheel will always adjust my f-stop. But I can tap the EV dial, which I have set to this one, set ISO, exposure compensation was set for now, white balance, the focus mode, the self-timer, the flash mode. There's no built-in flash, so when you set the flash mode, you're gonna use an external.
Okay, yeah, I was wondering, you said it has great high ISO performance, but no flash.
The original TL, the first version, did have a pop-up flash in the body right about here, but they took that out, and I asked Leica why that was when they were briefing me on the camera. They said not a lot of people used it. So they talked to their customers, and they said not necessary.
Okay. It looks like we have some questions out there.
Is it available now, and where can you get it?
It is on sale today. You can buy it from Leica authorized resellers. Or Leica stores. Leica has its own store brand, kind of like Apple does, where you can talk to an authorized Leica dealer someplace, same places who sell Leica M camera.
Now, in terms of a little earlier, we were talking about video. I see that it has, your standard lousy internal microphone.
It does.
Can you hook an external mic up to this?
No, this is not a great camera for pro video work. You've got 4K at 30 frames a second, 1080p and 720p at 60 frames a second, and you also have a slow motion 720p, which seems to be roughly 120 frames a second. I'm not sure exactly. It's about a 1/3 speed slowdown, so maybe 90 frames a second, somewhere in that range. And the video frame rates are locked in for each setting. Now that's, again, the pro version of this camera, so to speak, the SL, is more geared towards pro video with a mic input, a built-in EVF, and 4K footage at variable frame rates.
Now, this is beautiful, but it's expensive. How much of a premium would you say you're paying for the design here over other APS-C format cameras that take, similar, equally good photos?
You're probably paying about $1,000 for the design.
Okay.
And I mean, that's not to discount the design, because the materials are, there's a cost of building a camera out of aluminum like this versus building one out of magnesium alloy chassis with plastic.
No, I'm not saying it's
else.
all profit, but I'm saying you're paying for the design.
You're paying for the design. You're also paying for the scale. Leica will sell to a niche market. Fujifilm will sell to a much wider market. But as far as image quality goes, if you just want something that's good 24 megapixel APS-C mirrorless camera, you can get one for $800.
Now, Leica is known for having a really strong community around it, for having making very reliable long-term products, having good support. Are those all things that you're going to find here?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I mean, I've only had it for 2 weeks, so I can't talk about the long-term reliability. I've owned Leicas before. I have I had an M8, which I had for several years, and I upgraded that to the M240, and I've had that since 2013, and it's just, chugging right along. That one is made of brass. This one's made of aluminum. But it's that, real build quality you feel in your hands.
It looks like we have another question out there.
So is it waterproof at all?
No, it's not weather sealed. It is.
It's funny how many people have been asking that on these live streams.
It is. I mean, it's. I wouldn't mind. I didn't really have any. I took it out in the light rain and shot with it, and didn't have any problem. But I wouldn't take it out in a downpour. It's as robust as most other digital cameras, in that don't take it out in a heavy rain. But if it's a drizzle, don't worry too much about it. I should also want to talk about the ports here. One of them is USB-C.
Oh.
Which is here in the door.
Oh, I didn't see that.
There is an SD card slot, a UHS 1. There is 32 gigs of internal memory, and you can copy files from the internal memory to the SD card slot or vice versa if you want to use it as backup. But it will charge via USB-C.
Oh, cool.
And Leica also includes a wall charger. So you have the option. If you buy a second battery, you can charge with the camera and with the wall charger at the same time. The battery is right here.
See, I love this idea that you could charge via USB-C, and then if you're somebody who has, say, a Galaxy S8 or something like that, you can just use one charger, interchangeable chargers for your various devices.
No, and actually, I charged it via USB-C most of the time I was reviewing. I got the charger before I was briefed on the camera. I plugged it in to charge the battery, and I talked to the tech rep from Leica the next day, and he's like, "Oh, yeah, you charge via USB-C if you want to." I'm like, "That's great."
Does it charge quickly with USB-C?
I never let it run down all the way because I
okay.
had a short time with it, so I wanted to keep it topped off as much as possible. I would just basically set up my desk and look, take a look back and see if it was charged. But it was charging from half battery to full in about an hour.
Now, we were talking earlier about how you said there may be some more features coming for this camera through firmware updates, potentially.
Yeah, well, the first T, when we reviewed it, I did not give a great review. And they later upgraded the firmware, and we looked at it again and upped the rating on that one because some of the interface quirks in the first camera were a little weird. This one, you can just tap and touch the focus, which the first camera had the same touch screen. The first T/TL, they renamed it during the production cycle, wouldn't let you do that. You could tap and set focus, but then you couldn't redo the focus with your shutter button. Once you selected the point, you had to tap every time. They fixed that after some feedback.
And when we were playing with the tap to focus earlier, that was really, really cool and accurate, but at the same time I was feeling that the autofocus without tapping could use a bit of a better algorithm.
Well, right now it's set for tap focus, which means you need to select the focus point with your finger.
Okay.
You can change the focus mode to multi-point with face detection and have it select, what it wants to select, and that works pretty well. But I usually leave it where I want to select the focus point for the shot.
Yes, and for instance, I've just focused on our cameraman here, and it's great because we have the aperture open really wide, and so everything behind him is nice and blurry.
Yeah, and it's very quick to focus. It doesn't. It's not good for shooting fast-moving action, because it doesn't track things that well. But if you're shooting candid portraits or whatever, you just tap and shoot, and it gets it very quickly.
Looks like we have another question out there.
Okay, can you recap the price and what does it come with, if anything?
The price for the body is $19.50, and that just comes with the camera, the battery, the charger, a strap. One thing about this is it has these weird little metal things here that you need to pop out to pop the strap in. If you want to use your own, say if you have a nice leather strap or something that's different, you have to buy accessory lugs to put in here. I use a wrist strap that screws into the tripod socket usually, and so that wasn't a big deal for me. But if you prefer your own strap that usually uses standard strap lugs, that's something to think about. Then this lens is $16.50. It's a standard zoom. This lens is the 35-1.4 is $2,400. And the add-on EVF is $575 and also has GPS. It's the same EVF you use with the M10 as well.
And we were talking about, actually, do we have any more questions out there?
Actually, one other thing, when you're mentioning the lugs, do you need a tool to get those out?
It comes with a little pokey tool that goes in this little hole down here below, and it pops the metal part out.
So now,
I don't know if there's a technical term for it. Pokey tool.
You gave this 3.5 stars,
Yes.
which is good but not great.
Yeah, the image quality is great. The design is fantastic. The price is high.
Okay.
You can get more for your money as far as functionality goes.
Yeah, and this kind of goes to like, here at PC Mag we have an inherent bias towards functionality. I think it's institutional. Yeah.
Yeah, but even if you couldn't get more for your money, it's you're paying for the aesthetic there, and I just didn't think it was quite there for 4. If there were some things fixed, even at this price, and even paying for the luxury, if I could choose between which version of the shutter I wanted to use for the shot, if I could set the video to 24 frames a second, if all the video modes didn't imply a 1.5x additional crop, I would definitely think about giving this a 4. But right now, it's just not quite there.
It is funny that it is this kind of retro-styled, high-end Euro camera, and yet you can't do 24 frames a second.
It is weird. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's the locked-in frame rates. I was really surprised by, because the SL, which again is $6,000 in full frame, will let you do different frame rates.
So what do we recommend? So we recommend this, but there are other things we may recommend over it in the APS-C
I'll put it this way. If you love the way this camera looks and you're not shooting sports, and you just want something beautiful that will get you great images, especially if you want to get for the 23mm pancake lens, which gives you that 35mm field of view, which is a classic Leica thing, and that's a $1,500 lens. If you're looking at that combo and you want this camera, go for it. Just understand its limitations. If you want something that will do everything for $2,000, the Fujifilm X-T2.
Okay. And what if you want something that will do almost everything but for $500 less?
Take a look at the Sony Alpha 6000 or Alpha 6300, which are both similar form factor to this with an EVF, but they have a fast 11 frames per second shooting mode. So those are the other ones to think about there. But again, for the aesthetics and for the image quality, you can't argue with either of those.
Okay, great. One more question?
I don't know if you've mentioned this before, but what's your camera for personal use? I mean, when you're not reviewing something.
I did mention that before. I have a Leica M240 actually, which is the Leica the digital rangefinder. It's full frame. It's got an optical viewfinder, manual focus only. It was announced in 2012, I want to say. I put in the order right at Photokina, and then I actually had to wait till the next August to get it. So I was waiting for quite some time. That's what my digital. I also own a Ricoh GR and a Sony RX10. The Ricoh GR is a pocketable APS-C camera with a 28mm prime equivalent lens. The RX10 is a 24 to 200mm zoom. It's great for travel. And I have a lot of film cameras, and I don't use them as often as I'd like, but I have a Leica M3, a Pentax LX, a Nikon F3, a Canon AE1, a Rolleiflex Automat from 1950, an old Hasselblad. I have too many cameras.
And that's not even getting started on the drones.
No.
Yeah.
I don't own any drones. So
Okay.
they haven't gone there yet.
Okay. Well, thank you everyone for watching. The Leica TL2 review is up on PCMag.com right now, 3.5 stars. The camera is on the market right now. We will be back with one more cool thing at 10 a.m. tomorrow. And also, I'd like to mention, tomorrow, July 11th, is Amazon Prime Day, the big day when Amazon puts a lot of things on sale. We will be doing various telethon-style videos throughout the day, helping to find you the best Prime Day deals on cool Amazon stuff. Thanks for watching, everybody.